Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Trailhead Ranger NG, and today we are doing this module, that is Platform Developer Certification Maintenance Windows 26 release. So it is having two units, one is hands-on experience and one is the new features they have introduced. We are going to talk about those and then a quiz. So in our last video we have talked about the Platform Administrator Certification Maintenance, which was Spring 26 release if I am not wrong. And now we are going to talk about the platform developer certification maintenance. So it is important that you stay up to date about with these release, because it talks about the new features Salesforce is being introducing, and it can be very useful for us in our day-to-day work life and the project which we are working upon. So let's get started on our first module, that is maintain your platform developer certification for winter 26. So first of all, there's some overview they have given, that is they are talking about the capabilities which they have expanded for the developers who are working with the Apex, LWCs and flows, and there are some key updates which have given in this module, and then some things related to the GraphQL API as well. Now first thing is handle large external service callouts and payloads without hitting Apex heap limits. So when we are working with large amount of data in the Apex, so it results into the governor API limit hits or the heap size limit. So to avoid that, Salesforce introduced this. We can utilize the content document. So instead of loading the binary data directly into the Apex heap, we can utilize the external services which points to the content document object IDs. So it means that we can upload or download our binary files up to 16 MB now without hitting the heap limits, and which will significantly improve our data heavy integrations as well. So first thing is that. Then there are some access modifier has been introduced on the abstract and the override methods in the Apex. So if your Apex class has been created earlier, then it is fine, but if it has been created recently and its API version is 65 or plus, then this thing will be applicable, that we have to utilizes the explicit access modifiers on the abstract and the override methods, which should be protected public or global. The private access modifier is not allowed anymore for this, so it would improve the code clarity and prevents the developers from accidentally writing methods which cannot be implemented by the subclass. So it will omit the access modifiers, or we cannot use the unsupported ones. Now if we will move on, third part is elevate third party scripts with LWS trusted mode. So earlier we had the lightning locker, now we have lightning web security as well. So it will allow us to isolate the components and preventing the unauthorized access to the global namespace. So LWS trusted mode allows developers to safely bypass these restrictions for code that they trust. By marking a component as trusted, you can allow it to run third-party scripts without LWS or locker limitation. So it is particularly useful for the integrating analytics libraries, advanced visualizations, frameworks, or other scripts which would need direct access to the browser's global context. Now there are certain things has been changed into the LWC modules as well, to provide more flexibility to the developers. So some new modules has been introduced, such as lightning GraphQL. So this module we can utilize to fetch the data with the GraphQL API for UI API enabled objects. So earlier we used to use that UI GraphQL API, that is this one. Now it is deprecated. Instead of this we will use GraphQL only, and it will support optional field in the dynamic query constructions as well, and it is recommended for all the new GraphQL based data fetching. Now next we have Omni Studio pops up. So it allows our custom components to communicate with the flex cards or the Omni scripts using a publish subscribe mechanism, and it is ideal for embedding Omni Studio wrapper components and enabling the seamless interaction between the components. Now if we talk about the change modules, So earlier we used to have the toolkit API. So one new method has been added to it, that is inactive conversation record ID. It inactivates a conversation record by ID and it returns a promise that resolves to true or reject if there is an error. Now UI GraphQL API is deprecated and its wire adapter and as well as its refresh GraphQL function. Instead of this, we are using GraphQL, which is newly introduced. Now, next is we can utilize LWC components for our local actions in screen flows as well. So screen flows, are a very powerful tool for the drag and drop interaction with the customer. So we can utilize Lightning Web Components local action inside of the screen flows. We can suppose example, we used to have our custom toast messages in the LWC. So we can utilize those type of local action of LWC directly in the screen flows when a user submits a screen or automatically navigating it to a record page. It will not require to make a service call. It will run on the browser entirely. So we can utilize this. So now let's come to the quiz. Our first question is, what is the key benefit of using pointers to content document object IDs for large callouts? First option is it removes the need for authentication in external service callouts. Second option is it avoids loading large payloads onto the Apex heap, preventing heap limit errors. Third option is it bypasses Salesforce governor limits entirely. Fourth option is automatically compresses all file transfers. So second option should be the correct one. Let's move on to the second. What access modifiers are supported for abstract and override methods in API version 65.0 and later? First option is private, protected, public. Second option is protected, public, global. Third option is public, private, internal. And the last one is global, private, and internal. So second option should be the correct one, protected, public, and global. Third question is, when should you enable LWS trusted mode for a Lightning Web Component? First option is for every LWC in your app by default. Second option is only for vetted third-party scripts that require global context access. Third option is for scripts that you don't control. And the last option is whenever a component fails to render. So second option should be the correct one. Let's come to the fourth question, that is, what advantage does the Lightning GraphQL module offer over Lightning UI GraphQL API? First option is it bypasses object and field level security. Second option is it supports optional fields and dynamic query construction. Third option is it automatically caches queries globally. And the last one is it is used only for mutation operations. Second option should be the correct one. The last question for this module is, why use LWC local action in screen flows? First option is they enable browser based actions without consuming server resources. Second option is they replace the need for all server side actions. Third option is they allow screen flows to run in Salesforce Classic. And the last option is they are required for all record triggered flows. So first option should be the correct one. Let's check. And it is correct. Let's move on to the next unit. So the next unit of this module requires hands-on practice. So we'll scroll to the end first and then we will launch a new Trailhead playground. Now we'll launch the playground. So we'll scroll to the top and we'll see our first action required is to install a package. I'll click on this install a package. If you can see here, a package ID is given. So I'll copy this and install it for admins only. I'll click on this once again. Yeah, let's click on this, install a package. Yeah, I'll paste the package ID over here, click on install and click on install for admins only. Click on install button and let's wait for it. It can take some minutes sometimes. Meanwhile, we'll read the instructions forward. So we have to create a record triggered flow. So from setup, we'll search for flows. Then click on new flows and click on record triggered flow. So we have to create it on account object whenever a account is created or updated, and we will have no entry condition. But in your real time project, usually there will always be a condition because we don't want it to run every time account is object or created. There might be some condition. It is like a trigger class which we usually create. We'll define the condition as optimize flow actions and related records, and asynchronous path there should not be. Okay, so this is done. We'll click on done and we are on setup. Okay, we'll search for the flows as instructed. I'll click on flows. Click on new flow. Infrequently used, you can see record trigger flow. We'll click on this. Next, we'll select the object as account. Configure trigger as a record is created or updated. Entry condition should be none. Optimize flows should be action and related record. So basically we usually have these two options for the record trigger flow. So it is basically when the record is being saved, then we want to run this flow. That is kind of a validation rule, I can say, and it is after save basically. So when the record is already saved, then we want to run this. Asynchronous path should be toggled off. So we'll cross this. Okay, yeah. Now let's move on. Let's see, next instruction is we need to add an element to update the triggering record, that is update description. So we want to update the description. How to find records to update and set their values. So use the account that triggered the flow and filter condition, always update the record. We'll click on this plus icon, select this update triggering record, give the label as update description and the API name is update underscore description. Now which option we should select? That use the account that has triggered the flow, and condition should is none, that is we always want to update the description. Now next is which field we want to update, that is we want to update the description and with which value. So we'll create a text template and given its value as default description. So let's do it step by step. So here we want to put as description, so I'll search for it and put this field. Now in value we want to create a resource, so I'll click on new resource, select the resource type as text template, give the API name as default description. Now in the body we want to keep the text as view as plain text, and next I'll have this is a default description and paste it over here and click on done. So whenever account is being created or updated, this flow will be triggered and its description field will be updated with this value, that is this is a default description. Now in the value column we will save this and give flow label as account update. So I'll click on save button, give the flow label as account update, click on save. Now we want to activate the flow. So it's saved now. I'll click on this activate button. Now next is we want to set up test for this flow. So we'll click on view test and create it. So we'll give this label as test detail, trigger and path as test account update description. So you can see this button view test. I'll click on this, click on create, give label as this. Now next is We'll keep the description as blank and API name is this one. I'll copy this. Okay, it is updated as same only. Now run the test when a record is created. So only created. Now next is click the test setup tab. Set data source to run from org data. In the test setup, it should be run from org data. We'll click on this confirm. Now click the set initial triggering record tab. In the account name field, we'll enter as account with flow. Okay, we'll have to save this. We have not saved it yet. I'll save this. Now initial, okay, here in account name, okay, cancel. Need to scroll down to find this field. Okay, account with flow. Okay, account name field is in the last is here. We'll click on save. Okay, assertion is still pending. So triggering account description should is null false. So basically account description should not be null. So we'll scroll up and you can see triggering account and description. I'll search this. Should is null, no, and should not be false. Now we'll save this. Now next is we want to verify this test. So we'll go to the setup and go to the developer console. So here we can come here and developer console we can open up in a new tab. Now next is in the debug we want to execute the anonymous window. I'll copy this. This is the developer console. In the debug tab, if you will open here, we'll paste this, that is run test using tooling API, run asynchronous test with tooling API. Now next is we'll execute this and navigate to the setup and open the application test execution. So I'll go here, search execute. Now search for application test execution, click on this. No thanks. Here select the apex and flow test you want to run and then click run. Okay, select test. I don't see developer console. You can see over here, right? This update account data has been run. View test history. Okay, here it is. Setup test data, test high value account is pass, and view test history. Yeah, so that is fine. So that should be correct. Let's check the challenge. So basically this was something new for me as well. Like I have created the flows, but I have not done the view test part using the flows. So that was something new. We have always done this debug part, that here by clicking on debug and then done this procedure. But this was something new and I have learned this. So I hope you also learned something new with me. And let's wait for the challenge to be validated. So this was done. It was working fine. So we have completed platform developer certification maintenance winter 26 as well. So if you have learned something with me and like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can comment in the comment box that which module, super badge or any other challenge you want me to do from the Trailhead, and we can work together. So thank you. Stay tuned.